that's changed more to the kind of critical reasoning and problem-solving skills that you allude to in your question. And I think the old joke about how do you get to Carnegie Hall, practice, 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 is still probably very relevant to doing well. So essentially, given the nature of testing nowadays, practice is the key to being ready to deal with the test when you take it for real, simply by desensitizing yourself to the stress and strain of the test situation and also becoming familiar with the tools and technologies that you're going to work with when you do take your test.
Let's take an individual who maybe just graduated high school or college, or alternatively someone who's worked in a non-IT industry for a while and is laid off. And this person, because of their interest and aptitude in IT, wants to get certified to improve his or her job chances. Which IT certification program or programs would you recommend for the IT industry newbie?
Well, interestingly enough, the real traction from certification comes rather later in one's career rather than earlier in one's career, so that the options that are open to newbies are not necessarily the ones that are going to produce the biggest payoffs in the long run. That said, these days, certain elementary basic certifications are becoming very much checklist items for individuals who want to work in IT, so it's more a matter of, much like getting your high school and or college diploma, of getting your ticket punched rather than attaining some kind of competitive advantage. It's a matter of, due diligence to kind of work your way through at least some of this stuff. And when I say this stuff, what I'm talking about are some of the basic and most popular CompTIA certifications like A+, Network+, and Security+. Certainly the basic Microsoft certifications, either MCSA and MCSE for Windows Server 2003, which is still very much a force in the workplace, or the MCTS, which is the Microsoft Certified Technical Specialist, or the MCITP, which is the Microsoft Certified IT Professional certifications on various platforms and technologies, with particular emphasis on, as you've already mentioned in this broadcast, Windows 7 on the desktop and Windows Server 2008, often Windows Server 2008 Release 2 or R2 at this point.
How would you recommend a newly certified individual to maximize his or her chances of getting an interview and ultimately a job offer? How can they best leverage their certification?
Well, this is something that I've actually blogged and written about a lot myself. And in my Tech Target blog entitled IT Career Jumpstart, this is something that just comes up over and over again. So for those listeners who may be interested in a lot of nitty-gritty details, you might want to find my blog and look around for additional information. But basically, there's 3 things that you have to do once you get your certification to try to turn that into some kind of employment opportunity, if not an outright job offer. First and foremost, what you have to do is you have to be able to back the credential with some convincing verbiage, usually in an interview situation or perhaps in a cover letter, that shows hiring managers that you're more than just a paper A+ or a paper MCSE or a paper whatever you've got, in the sense that you can talk intelligently about what the certification has taught you how to do and what kinds of skills and knowledge it's helped you to develop and improve. The second thing that you want to do is you want to use the certification program organization's infrastructure to the absolute max. Microsoft and Cisco and CompTIA and all these other organizations have online communities for their certified professionals. Those are places where you can often find out about job opportunities that may never be posted in a classified ad or on a resume collecting kind of a site. So you need to work that professional/certified network to see what you can shake out of those trees that you might not be able to find otherwise. And the third thing that you need to do is you need to remember that even though you've got the certification, there's no substitute for old-fashioned networking, which means digging up friends, family, former coworkers, former employers, professional association members and officers, and all the zillions of resources that you can find on the internet that are going to help you decide, sort of what industry you want to work in and what kind of job role you want to fill within that industry.
To our audience who's wondering, okay, how can I get to these 6 techtarget.com websites that Ed manages? Of course, we have edtittel.com, edtittel.com, and I just ran a Google search for Ed Tittel Tech Target and found your sites that way. What are some of your other favorite certification-related websites that you'd like to share with our audience?
Inform IT itself is no small potatoes when it comes to finding good certification information. For example, I've done a repeated series for them on what I call the Information Security Bookshelf, which is a 2-part series that goes into detail on about 50 different information security books that professionals in the field should consider putting on their own bookshelves, and those that are pursuing credentials like the CISSP or CISM or even something like the SANS GSEC certifications would do well to read some or all of. You'll also find lots of information about programs, up one side of the street and down the other. The other thing that you want to do is you want to look for certification organizations or to follow the vendor or sponsoring organizations' offerings in that area. I also find that Ann Martinez's GoCertify.com site and the Cert Cities website are very, very useful sources of certification news and information. And for example, these days there's lots of blogs that are now certification focused, so that the Born to Learn blog from Microsoft is a great source of certification information and news. Cisco has a half dozen different certification blogs for their various major programs, CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, and so on and so forth. And you just need to troll around and find what's available. In general, if you can make contact with somebody who already holds the certification that you're pursuing or that you covet, they too will be able to tell you where the good stuff is.
Now, as you know, Ed, IT folks, especially experienced ones, are eminently practical and are probably wondering, okay, what's the money here? Literally and figuratively. So our next question is, in your opinion and based on your experience, which IT certifications have the most impact, all things considered, in today's crowded job marketplace?
Well, earlier I said that you get a bigger bang for the buck or a bigger payoff for certifications that are more senior. So certainly we're looking at a number of certifications that are truly forces to be reckoned with. I would have to say that at the very top of that list, partly by virtue of its longevity and partly by virtue of its continued high perceived value, is the Cisco Certified Internet Expert, or CCIE. That one still leads the hit parade, at least as far as I'm concerned. Others that are of considerable value nowadays are those